Okay, so let's dive right into this. We're looking at a fascinating historical puzzle from the Quran, a story about a lost civilization, a divine warning, and a catastrophe that seems, well, almost impossible. Together, we're going to piece together the clues and solve a mystery that's thousands of years old. You see, in the Quran, there's this recurring theme: powerful societies that basically reach a point of no return. They become arrogant, they transgress, and they face divine retribution. It's this pattern of rise and fall, and each fall is uniquely dramatic. For instance, you have Noah's people, who were wiped out by a massive, world-changing flood. Then there were the people of Ad, annihilated by a furious windstorm that raged for days. Each punishment was specific, and it was absolute. But when we get to the people of Thamud, the story gets a whole lot more complex. And this is where it gets really interesting. The way the end of Thamud is described is, well, it seems contradictory. The text mentions not one but three different things happening. Was it a powerful earthquake that shook them apart, a deafening blast from the sky, or was it a bolt of lightning? So that's the big question, right? How could it possibly be all three of those things at the same time? This is the central mystery we're unpacking today. And the answer, as you're about to see, is this incredible moment where ancient scripture and modern science just click together. Alright, so first, to really get what happened to Thamud, we need to understand a pattern that the source says they shared with these other destroyed civilizations. It all boils down to what we can call the 3 M's. Okay, so here's the pattern. First, a messenger was sent to them, in this case the Prophet Ṣāliḥ. He brought them a clear message to worship one God, and to prove he was for real, he presented a miracle, a sacred she-camel, telling them it was a sign from God and that it was not to be harmed. How they responded to these 3 things, well, that would seal their fate. So, the people of Thamud were given this choice, and the path they chose set in motion a very specific, and frankly, a very terrifying prophecy. Now, you gotta understand, Thamud wasn't some primitive tribe. These people were masters of their environment. They were incredibly skilled, able to carve these magnificent, secure homes right out of the mountainsides. But their material success came with a heavy dose of arrogance. So instead of listening to the warning, they chose defiance. In a brazen act of rebellion, they deliberately killed that sacred camel, basically spitting in the face of the miracle that was sent to them. And that single act, that was the point of no return. And the consequence was immediate. Prophet Saleh delivered the verdict. You have 3 days. Enjoy it while you can. A countdown to an unavoidable doom had just begun. The clock was officially ticking. Okay, so we've got the backstory. Now this is where we put on our detective hats, because the text gives us a series of very specific clues about what actually went down on that final morning. And when we piece them all together, a stunningly clear picture starts to form. Clue number 1, their location. The text is very clear that they were inside their homes when the disaster struck. And remember, these weren't just any old houses. These were fortresses of stone, literally carved out of the mountains. They should have been the safest place to be. Clue number 2, the timing. This wasn't a slow burn. It was a sudden, catastrophic event that happened right at dawn. It caught them completely by surprise. And here we are again, back at our central mystery. The text explicitly says there was a quake that seized them, a thunderous blast from the sky, and a lightning strike that they actually saw as it happened, all 3. Now this next clue it's pretty graphic, but it's absolutely crucial. The description of the bodies afterwards. They weren't just dead, they were left completely desiccated, dried out like brittle fragments of hay or the dry twigs a farmer might use to build a fence. And maybe the most baffling clue of all, well, the people inside were utterly obliterated, their magnificent carved homes, they remain standing. The ruins are still there today, a silent testament to the event that wiped out every single person inside them. You know, this kind of a super specific descriptive imagery, it fits a pattern in the text. For example, the people of Ad, who were destroyed by that windstorm, they were left looking like hollowed out, uprooted palm trunks. These aren't vague descriptions, they're vivid, almost forensic accounts of the aftermath. So, let's recap. We have a quake, a blast, and lightning, all at once. We have instant death inside solid stone homes. We have desiccated bodies, but the structures themselves are still standing. How on earth can one single event explain all of this? Incredibly, the answer lies in modern physics. Okay, we're going to talk about something called the piezoelectric effect. It sounds super complicated, but the basic idea is pretty simple. When you take certain crystals, like quartz, and you put them under immense mechanical pressure, like, say, from the shifting of tectonic plates, they literally generate a powerful electric charge. So what does that have to do with anything? Well, here is the absolute kicker. The region where Thamud lived is famous for its sandstone, which just so happens to be incredibly rich in quartz. This means their homes weren't just carved from rock, they were carved from piezoelectric rock. They were living inside giant untapped electrical generators. So, let's reconstruct what happened. A powerful earthquake strikes at dawn. That's our quake. The immense tectonic stress squeezes the quartz in the mountains, generating a colossal electric charge because of the piezoelectric effect. Now, this charge has to go somewhere. The morning dew would have made the rock homes conductive, and that massive charge discharges as huge, lightning-like arcs of electricity right through their homes. The sound would have been a deafening, thunderous blast. Anyone inside is instantly electrocuted, and the intense thermal energy literally cooks them from the inside out, leaving their bodies desiccated like harvested hay. All the stone structures themselves remain perfectly intact. Suddenly, the earthquake, the blast, and the lightning, they're not three different events. They are all parts of one single, scientifically plausible, and utterly devastating phenomenon. The how is just, it's mind-blowing, right? But the source material argues that the real takeaway, the deeper lesson, isn't actually in the physics, it's in the profound irony of their destruction. I mean, just think about it for a second. Their greatest skill, their source of pride and security, was their ability to build these impenetrable homes in the mountains. And in the end, those very same homes became the conductive chambers that delivered their doom. Their greatest blessing became their ultimate curse. And so the story of Thamud, as it's presented, isn't just some ancient tale. It's a timeless warning. It poses a question that echoes through the ages for every civilization, including our own. At what point do the things we build for our own security, for our own pride, become the very instruments of our undoing? It suggests that when our technological and material progress far outpaces our moral and spiritual development, our greatest strengths can become our most fatal weaknesses.